What is this? As I stepped into the room, I couldn't believe what I just saw. All my beloved accessories and cherished clothes were gone. Could it be a burglary? In a panic, I reached for my cell phone to call the police. Predictably, you're upset. Amy, what do you mean by predictably? Could it be you? Seeing my stunned expression, my mother-in-law burst into laughter and made an unbelievable statement. Yes, that's right. I cleaned up your belongings. They were unnecessary after all. Why she would dispose of my things without my permission, deeming them unnecessary, was beyond me. Just as I was about to ask her, she began explaining the details. How long do you plan to stay in our house? Leave as soon as possible. I cleaned everything up to make it easier for you to leave. You should be grateful, shouldn't you? Her words made it clear. The mistreatment I had endured was all to drive me out of the house. If that's what she wants, I no longer have any intention of getting along with her. Understood. I'll move out. If you understand, then make it earlier. Please move out soon. Yes, but please give me a week to arrange a new place. Fine, I'll allow that. Just make sure you leave in a week. And so, I gained a week to prepare. During this time, I'll surely find a new home. Just you wait. I'll have my revenge. I'm Mary, a freelance illustrator. I became a freelancer 3 years ago. After graduating from vocational school, I worked at an animation production company. But once I had saved up a bit, I decided to go independent. I'm thinking of leaving the company soon to work independently. If that's the path you want to take, Mary, I won't oppose it. Give it your all. I'll support you. When I told my husband Ken about my intention to become independent, he responded positively. I was surprised, expecting him to refuse. Ken and I started dating in vocational school, continued our relationship while pursuing different careers, and got married in our 3rd year of working as adults. This year marks our 8th anniversary. I'm truly grateful. I gave up on my dream of being an illustrator. I'm excited to see how far you can go, Mary, but don't overdo it. Rely on me whenever you need to. Yes, I'll do my best. With that resolve, I left my job and became a freelance illustrator. However, earning income wasn't easy. In the first few months, there were times when I earned nothing, leading to frequent disappointment. Maybe it's impossible to make a living as an illustrator. Despite such thoughts, I never gave up and continued to draw and post on social media. Then one day, one of my drawings gained unexpected attention, leading to my rise as a famous illustrator on social media. Jobs from companies and app sticker designs started coming in, and my monthly income exceeded $8,000. Your encouragement made it possible. I'm truly grateful. It's the result of your hard work, Mary. Truly amazing. I can't thank my husband enough. If he had refused my decision to go independent, I wouldn't have achieved this income. I haven't been able to save a lot of money yet. If possible, I'd like to buy a house and have my own workspace. I'm grateful for the increase in work, but in our relatively inexpensive flat where we live, it's becoming difficult to store things like documents. Then one day, my husband suggested, "Why don't we move to my parents' house?" He said, "There's a spare room. Only my mom lives there now. What do you think?" I was surprised, really. "Are you sure that's okay?" He replied, "Yes, I've already talked to my mom about it. Ever since my dad disappeared with his affair partner when I was little, that room's been empty. Mom said it's fine for you to use it." There was no reason to turn down such a generous offer. I immediately agreed to move to my in-laws' house. 2 weeks later, when we visited his family's house, my mother-in-law warmly welcomed us. "It's been a while, Mary," she said. "It's been a while indeed," I replied. "I've heard from Ken that you're a popular illustrator now," she said. "Oh no, it's nothing like that," I responded modestly. "Feel free to use the room as you like. Come in," she invited us warmly. I felt no worries about living with my kind mother-in-law and husband. I was determined to devote myself to my creative work in this house. And so, a new chapter of my life at my in-laws' house began. At that time, I was still unaware of my mother-in-law's true nature. 3 months after moving to my in-laws' house, I was getting used to the new environment. Well, this job is done, I thought. Work was going well thanks to the improved work environment, and my income had significantly increased. Everything was going smoothly. However, 2 months later, life took an unexpected turn when my husband was suddenly laid off from his company. What should I do now? He sighed as soon as he got home. I wondered what had happened. Was it any trouble at work? Are you okay? Was there an issue with a client? I asked. He had been working in sales at a major trading company handling industrial products since graduating from a vocational school. I assumed it was some failure in sales, but his response was completely unexpected. I've been fired, he said. What? I was shocked. I've been laid off, he explained. But how? You've been working so hard, I said, unable to understand. Why would they downsize? Did something go wrong? No way. Our department was underperforming, and the company saw us as a burden. They said it was hard to maintain us. They offered me a choice of a drastic pay cut or a decent severance package. It's effectively downsizing, he explained. Hearing this, I didn't know what to say. I couldn't comfort my husband, who was so easily discarded by the company he had served for years. I could only remain silent. The next day, my jobless husband began to spend his days being lazy at home. Honestly, I hoped he would quickly shift gears and start looking for a new job, but he didn't seem ready yet. It looks like it's up to me to work hard now. For my mother-in-law and my husband who hadn't been working, I became even more dedicated to my job than before. Sometimes, I worked so hard that I barely had time to eat, working nonstop from morning till night. Maybe I'm working a bit too much, I sometimes thought, but for about a month, I worked all day long. As a result, a substantial amount of money was deposited into my account. Seeing such a large amount, which I had never seen before, I couldn't help but say to my husband, "Hey, you don't need to rush to find a job right now. We have an income of $40,000 this month alone. I think we can manage if we don't spend it wastefully." "Wow, that's impressive," my husband said, sounding impressed, but his eyes held a cold light. Why did I talk about my income with him at that time? The next day, persistent harassment from my mother-in-law began, triggered by this incident. "Mary, come here for a moment," I heard my mother-in-law calling me loudly from downstairs while I was focused on my work. What could it be? It's unusual. "Yes, I'm coming now," I responded, pausing my work and heading downstairs. My mother-in-law was standing in the living room. "What is it?" I asked. "Do the laundry for me," she said. "But I haven't finished my work yet," I replied. "You can do that later. You've been quiet so far, but isn't it about time you properly did some housework? You're a daughter-in-law, right?" Faced with her direct words, I reflected and agreed. I understood her position. I had been so engrossed in my work that I had left all the housework to her. Indeed, I might have been wrong. Understood. I'll do the laundry as soon as I finish this work. "Please leave it here," I said. As promised, once I finished my tasks, I did the laundry and also cleaned the living room. Taking a break like this might be necessary sometimes, I thought casually, but since that day, my mother-in-law has become stricter. "You're always drawing, just like a small child. If you have time for that, go shopping. I can't imagine your paintings ever selling," she criticized, piling household chores on me. I was swamped with daily chores, unable to focus on work, and progress was hindered. I was even woken up before 5 a.m. to prepare breakfast, leading to chronic sleep deprivation. My concentration waned, and the amount of work I could do in a day greatly decreased. Although my income hadn't decreased significantly yet, I was worried that I might not be able to work at all if this continued. I decided to talk to my husband about his mother when we were alone. "Your mother seems to dislike me lately and is picking on me. I don't mind doing chores, but being told to do them from morning to night every day, I might not be able to focus on work. So, I want you to suddenly tell her to stop picking on me." What a hassle. Why do I have to do that? You should tell her yourself. Besides, if you can't work, why don't you move somewhere else? You have an income, he said. What? Why would you say that? I'm working so hard because you've been lazing around without looking for a job, I replied. Indeed, there's some truth to what my husband says. I think if you have a complaint, you should say it yourself, but it's just so hard to say it directly to my mother-in-law. After that, my husband ignored me and went to sleep, and we couldn't have a proper conversation. Half a year has passed. I was mentally and physically exhausted from the relentless mistreatment by my mother-in-law. My husband still showed no signs of looking for a job. My work progress slowed significantly, and my income dropped to less than half of what it was at its peak. I can't take it anymore, I thought. One day, I found myself having left the in-laws' house and arrived at a nearby park. Just sitting on a bench there, I felt healed. After about an hour, feeling a bit calmer, I returned home. I couldn't bring myself to work that day and decided to take a nap in my room. I was shocked when I opened my door. What's this? I couldn't believe what I saw as I stepped into my room. All my favorite accessories and cherished clothes were gone. Could it be a thief? In a panic, I was about to call the police when I heard my mother-in-law's voice from behind. As expected, you're upset. Amy, what do you mean by as expected? Did you? Shocked, I heard her laugh out loud and say something unbelievable. Yes, that's right. I cleared out your stuff. It was all unnecessary. I was speechless. Why did she dispose of my things without asking, claiming they were unnecessary? I was about to ask her these questions when she began explaining. How long do you plan to stay here? Just leave already. I cleared everything to make it easier for you to leave. You should be grateful. Her words made it clear. All the mistreatment was to drive me out of the house. If that's what she wants, I no longer wish to get along with her. I understand. I'll move out. Good. Make sure you move out soon. Yes, but please give me a week to arrange a new place. Fine, you have a week. Just make sure you're out after that. So, I had a week to prepare. I would find a new place during that time. Just wait, I'll show you. The next day, I quickly decided on a new place to move to. I considered a detached house, but to really make a point to my mother-in-law, I chose a luxury high-rise apartment. I'm leaving behind not only my mother-in-law but also my husband, who doesn't bother to find a job and just lazily depends on my income. Fortunately, I had saved enough money before my income dropped, which I could use for this. I went to a real estate agent and signed a lease for the apartment. Now I was ready to leave that house any time. The week passed, and the day came for me to leave my in-laws' house. I filed for divorce from my husband. Did you sign this and send it back to the court? Huh? What is this? As you can see, this is the summons from the court. I get that. But why suddenly bring up divorce? My husband was visibly confused. I initially felt sorry for you when you were laid off. But you didn't even try to look for a job, and you ignored how your mother was treating me badly. Under these circumstances, I don't see a point in us staying married. Even if you say that. Does getting divorced mean you are leaving this house? Yes. I hadn't said it before, but I'm leaving today. What? Today? But what will you do? Where will you live? I've already found a new place. And remember, you were the one who said I should move out. Are you really okay with getting divorced? I couldn't help but laugh at my husband's question. Am I okay? I don't need your concern. The thought of a future with you worries me more. All right. Finally convinced, my husband agreed to divorce. Now I no longer had to support him. Next was my mother-in-law's turn. Before leaving my in-law's house, I asked my mother-in-law why she made my life so miserable. The harassment started when I told my husband about my income. There must have been something inconvenient for her at that point. Amy, thank you for everything so far. Humph, I'm relieved I won't have to see your face anymore. Why did you start treating me badly? Why? No big reason really. I just didn't like that you were earning more than Ken. He told me you were making like $40,000 a month at one point. Earning more than your husband. What were you thinking? Usually, a wife should earn less to save her husband's face. Besides, Ken was paying for the household expenses, even when he was struggling with his savings after being laid off. He's such a good kid, unlike you. I couldn't believe it. All this because of such a ridiculous reason. And she thought my husband was paying for everything. What happens to them after I leave will be interesting to watch. Without my income, my husband and mother-in-law will likely face difficulties soon. But I didn't mention that. So that's the reason. I understand. A wife who can't support her husband should leave. Goodbye then. With those words, I left their house. On the way to my new luxury apartment, I stopped by the post office to send the papers back to court. This completely severed my ties with my husband and his mother. I had no intention of helping them if they struggled. Arriving at my new place, I started arranging my belongings. The spacious room and ample workspace in the apartment were perfect. Now it's time to focus on work. After unpacking, I immediately immersed myself in work. 1 month later, I received a call from my ex-husband. What does he want? I ignored it as I was working, but the calls kept coming. So annoying. I resignedly answered the phone with reluctance. What? I'm busy right now, I said. Mary, where are you? I'm at home. I'm working right now, I replied. I want to talk to you in person. Can we meet? Huh? I have nothing to talk to you about. Why do I have to meet you? It's such a hassle, I retorted, about to hang up, when I heard my former mother-in-law's voice on the phone. Mary, it's been a while. I have something to discuss. Can we meet? Something in her usually assertive voice seemed different, almost pleading. Reluctantly agreeing to meet after hearing her heavy tone, I said, Fine, but I don't want to go out, so come to my house. I'll send Ken the address. After hanging up, I sent the location to my ex-husband. I wondered why they wanted to meet. Unsettled, I returned to my work. About 30 minutes later, the doorbell rang. It seemed they had arrived. Yes. So, this is your place. It's amazing, they remarked. If you just want to chat, leave. If there's a serious matter, speak quickly. Wait. Open the door, they pleaded. On the monitor, I saw my ex-husband and his mother behind him. I unlocked the door and invited them in. A few minutes later, the doorbell rang again. Please wait a moment. I opened the door to welcome them, and they were stunned by the foolishness of my home. Incredible, it's like a hotel. Mary, you live in such a gorgeous place, they said, their reaction almost like tourists. Despite their supposed serious matter, they just gawked for a while. So, what do you want? If there's no real issue, leave. You're interrupting my work. I deliberately spoke bluntly and sat on the couch. They suddenly spoke in panic. Mary, we need your help. We can't afford our living expenses. Even our electricity, gas, and water have been cut off. Could you help us out, even a little? Why should I, the one they pushed out, help them? Don't joke with me. Why should I help you? You live in such a grand house. You can afford to help a bit, they argued. We were once family, and I admit I did wrong. Can't you help us a little? How audacious they were. I couldn't comprehend their mindset. It was a waste of time to even listen to this nonsense. Sigh. I live here because I worked desperately hard. Even before our divorce, I worked to support your lifestyle. Despite harassment from my mother-in-law that cost me jobs, I struggled to survive. You wouldn't understand my effort. You just exploited me and relied on my income. With that, they had nothing to retort. This conversation is over. If you come again, I'll call the police. Goodbye. I never want to see you again. Wait, Mary. So, what should we do now? I'm almost impressed that after all that's been said, they still come seeking help. It's none of my business. You could start working part-time or something. Ken can work too. That should be enough for the two of you to live on. Anyway, sort it out yourselves. I've said it multiple times. I'm not kind-hearted enough to help someone I've been ignoring. In a burst of pent-up frustration, I raised my voice and yelled at his mother. Facing my anger, they finally seemed to realize they were not in a position to beg for help and hurriedly left the house. Watching them leave, I slowly calmed down. I recalled the stunned look on their faces when they first entered the house. It was satisfying. I won't forget that expression of complete desperation from them, who were once so overbearing. Helping them is out of the question. I returned to my workshop and resumed work. A month later, on a certain day, I finished work a bit earlier, planning to enjoy some free time in the afternoon. I remembered I hadn't opened the living room curtains yet. When I did, I casually looked outside and saw my former mother-in-law and ex-husband walking around my apartment. There's Ken and his mother, I thought. They're still persisting. But they didn't come to my house. They just walked around, probably mindful of my warning. I decided to give a little help. I watched them through the window and made a call. Hello, what are you doing? Mary, what do you mean, what are we doing? Don't bother lying. I can see you from here. Remember what I said about calling the police? Wait, Mary, we're here, but we're not doing anything. That was true, but their actions were suspicious. So, what are you doing? You came to ask for my help, didn't you? No, well, yes, but I've started working as a contract worker, but I haven't received my salary yet. Please, could you lend me some money? I'll definitely pay you back, so you can work. It took you being cornered to finally do it. That's why I gave up on you. It's good you found a job. If you're working, you should be able to borrow from someone else before asking me. So, that's that. I ended the call unilaterally. About an hour later, I heard a police siren in the distance. Could it be? I approached the window, slightly excited. Outside, I saw my ex-husband and his mother being put into a police car. I didn't expect them to be in police custody so soon. I wasn't the one who called. Probably, another resident felt they were suspicious and contacted the police. After this incident, they seemed to have completely given up on relying on me. Since then, I haven't seen them at all. I deleted my ex-husband's contact information and changed my phone number. From now on, I'm living my life for myself.